Hi guys! In this video we will be looking at the structure and function of a cell. Let's spell that out. Structure and function, F-U-N-C-T-I-O-N. The structure and function of a cell. So before we even get started, let's see what is this cell that we're going to look into. You know how walls are made out of bricks? What are you made of, or what are living things made of? They're made of cells. So the definition of cell in simpler terms is that cell is the basic unit of life. Any living thing that you see or that you cannot see with the naked eye, it's made of cell. One cell, many cells, yeah, that's a different story, but they're all life is made of cells. So we will look at the animal cell first. Let's start with the outer membrane first, the cell membrane. The cell membrane is the outermost lining of the cell. Now, I said animal cell because different cells can be slightly different in their structures and functions. The animal cell membrane is made of phospholipids. Remember in our previous video, we looked at fungus and plants and all these. Just because it's a cell membrane doesn't mean it's made of the exact same structure. When an animal cell is made of phospholipids, and the function of the cell membrane is to protect the cell and to regulate what's going in and out of the cell. So for example, oxygen goes into the cell, carbon dioxide comes out of the cell, and the cell membrane is what regulates this. Okay, next we will look at the other part of the animal cell, which is the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm. Now whenever I draw a star, just remember that that's the function of it, okay? Cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm is basically this whole gel-like, colored in blue here, the gel-like structure. It is the gel-like fluid inside the cell membrane throughout this cell, you see that? And its function is to hold the subcellular structures. The subcellular structures are all these structures inside it, and these are what we call organelles. So the cell cytoplasm is what holds the organelles, and it is also a medium for the biochemical reactions that happen in the cell. So it's a medium for biochemical reaction. Now all these explanations can be used both for your IGCSE exams, A-levels exam, and in your foundation courses. Okay, let me just highlight the cytoplasm. These would be the organelles, okay, the one I'm highlighting in yellow. Let's look at the largest organelle of the cell, which is the nucleus. This is very, very important. I feel like without a fail, the function of nucleus is always questioned in exams. The nucleus. So again, the nucleus is the largest organelle in the cell. Let's put it right there. The nucleus is the largest organelle in the cell. The largest organelle in the cell. And what exactly is the function of a nucleus? Let's draw the star. It holds the genetic information of living things. Okay, the nucleus is it is what holds that important information, your DNA. The deoxyribonucleic acid, it's held inside this nucleus, and the nucleus is also the control center of the cell. So you can think of the nucleus as a brain. This is basically what controls everything that's happening inside the cell. So I'll draw it out like this just so you remember it as being the brain of the cell. It controls the cellular activities, holds the genetic information, and is the largest organelle in the cell. Inside the nucleus, you see the one I've drawn, the one in yellow? That is the nucleolus. Let me just move it there so there's more space. You can see that yellow part. Okay, that should be good. That's the nucleolus. So it's like a baby nucleus. Nucleolus. Now I may be pronouncing some of these wrong. As long as the spelling is correct and you know the function, that should be good for your exam. The nucleolus is very, very, very important as well. As you can see, it's inside the nucleus, which is very important. It is it is the place where ribosomes are made or synthesized. And ribosomes are these suspended freely structures that you see in the cell. They're either attached to the rough endoplasmic reticulum, or they're just moving around. I know there are a lot of words. We're going to be looking at it one by one. Let's look at the ribosome first. So the small dot that you see, if you look at it and magnify it, you will see that it has 2 units. It has subunits, right? There's I'm drawing like a strange there, the RNA string. Okay, it has 2 subunits. The ribosome, again, is that tiny black dot that I drew. It has 2 subunits. There is a smaller subunit and the larger subunit. Let's write that down. So this, the larger subunit, and the smaller subunit. So large subunit, small subunit, you can tell from the size. And you see that the other strand that I drew there, you'll see why. The function of the ribosome is to, okay, it is the site of protein synthesis. So you see that genetic information strand there is actually synthesizing for a specific protein. So for example, enzymes, yeah, okay, protein builder. Okay, so ribosomes are protein builders and they need that genetic code to make a specific protein. Hence the 2 subunits with that RNA in between. Okay, so that is the ribosome. Now you see I mentioned another word there, the rough endoplasmic reticulum. It's a long word. Let's look at that. The rough endoplasmic reticulum. Let me move my screen. Sorry about that. Let me redraw it. Okay, the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Right there. You see those light yellow that near the nucleus? That's the rough endoplasmic reticulum. I'll still draw it out here, a rather zoomed in structure so that you can see exactly the difference between it, because we have 2. There are 2 types of endoplasmic reticulum. There is the rough endoplasmic reticulum and there is the smooth ER, which is endoplasmic reticulum. SER for smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Let me rewrite that. Now you have to be very patient when you're studying biology, because it's like learning a whole new language, and each language has its own function that you need to understand and then memorize, especially for exams. Like you could understand it, but if you don't memorize it, it can be a struggle. Okay, the rough endoplasmic reticulum, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Now we're drawing the endoplasmic reticulum, so on both sides, and here's where the difference is. The rough endoplasmic reticulum, it actually has ribosomes attached to it. So you see, that's why it's called rough. It's not smooth, because there are ribosomes attached to it. So let's compare the 2. So one difference you already saw, which is that okay, so you can see, okay, they're both network of folded membranes. Okay, they both network of folded membranes, but one has ribosomes attached to it and the other one is smooth. It doesn't have ribosomes attached to it. And the reason is because they both have different functions. So the rough endoplasmic reticulum, it transports protein. Okay, that is the rough endoplasmic reticulum. So you see ribosomes make protein, and then the rough endoplasmic reticulum transport those proteins. Now that's why you need to know both the ribosomes function and the rough endoplasmic reticulum, so it's easier for you to remember what the connection is. Okay, now let's look at the smooth endoplasmic reticulum function. It synthesizes, which means it makes lipids. The functions are very, very different. Again, you see, one transports proteins made by ribosomes, the other one synthesizes lipids, and it also, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum also detoxifies drugs or other harmful molecules in the cell. An example of these molecules would be metabolic byproducts. So it detoxifies metabolic byproducts or drugs, okay, harmful substances in the cell which are toxic. It's detoxified, it's made non-toxic, and then it can be removed from the cell. So those were the rough endoplasmic reticulum and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Let's look at this other folded network looking membrane. This one is the Golgi apparatus. Now again, if I'm pronouncing these wrong, I apologize, but biology has words from different languages. You can't blame someone for not pronouncing something right. Okay, Golgi apparatus. The Golgi apparatus looks very much, and diagrams you would see that it looks very much like the rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. These are membrane-bound sacs. They're stacked. So you can see they're all stacked. It's not all connected. Okay, and its function, again, the stars, I'm using the stars to indicate the function. Its function is to process and package and transport. So three functions, but all in one. It processes, packaging, and transport of molecules. For example, I'm going to give you an example. So your lipids. So smooth endoplasmic reticulum can make lipids, but it is still the Golgi apparatus that processes, packages, and transports those molecules. Example, yeah, the lipids. Okay, let's move on. So I'm going to zoom in so you can easily see the structure. I can see that this is getting messy, so you have to follow the process very carefully. The pink looking slipper. Okay. This, I'm going to redraw it here so you get a clearer picture of what it roughly looks like in diagrams. And it's like that. Okay, it looks like a slipper. This is the mitochondria, and for some reason this is my favorite organelle in the cell. I don't even know why. That doesn't make sense, but it's like you can even have a favorite organelle in a cell. The slipper looking one is the mitochondria. The mitochondria is a very interesting organelle. It is double membrane. So you can see there's two membranes, right? That's why we often see this in our books, that it has double membranes, simply meaning that it has two membranes. It's double, and its function is to provide energy to the cell. And that's why it is also called the powerhouse of the cell. And how does it produce this power, this energy? It is through the process of respiration. Let me rewrite that. Respiration. Okay. And the reason it can produce energy through a process of respiration is because the mitochondria contains respiratory enzymes. Okay. Site for cellular respiration. Okay, again, very simple. The mitochondria, the slipper-looking organelle, is the powerhouse of the cell, and it is designed for that, as it has respiratory enzymes which are needed for cellular respiration. Cellular respiration. Okay, this looks good. Oh my goodness, I'm looking back and there's so many words. Just focus on it one by one. Site for cellular respiration, again, it gives energy to the cell, and energy is released in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Let me just write that down for A level and foundation students. Adenosine triphosphate. Oops, forgive me. Can just turn just T, yeah. Okay. Mitochondria, double membrane, powerhouse of the cell. It has respiratory enzymes because cellular respiration takes place there, and it releases energy in the form of ATP. Let's move on to a different organelle, the green looking one. Again, you have to follow along carefully because I realize it's getting very crowded here. Okay, the green looking one. That is the vacuole. You know what, I feel like you might confuse this for a structure in plants, so I'm just going to draw blue lines around it. Let me make it look a bit different. Yep, the vacuole. Because remember, animal cells don't have chloroplast, okay? We'll look at a plant cell later on. Okay, I'm going to draw blue lines around it so you know that it's vacuole. Okay, writing it in blue. The vacuole is a fluid-filled sac. Let's write that down, fluid-filled sac. And again, you can make your own notes as you watch my videos because they're not rushed. And its function is to provide structural support. Well, that should have been a star. Okay, the vacuole, I drew the blue lines around it so you don't confuse it for organelles in plants. But the vacuole is fluid-filled sac, and its function is to provide structural support to cells. Okay, let's move on. I will be looking again at these in plant cell, but let's focus on structures that are purely unique to the animal cell. So on this side, I'm going to explain the structures that are purely found in animal cell, not in plant cell. Let's start with the lysosome, this yellow looking organelle. The lysosome is a sac that has, let's write that up. It's a sac, single membrane. Its function is to, okay, it contains hydrolytic enzymes. Let's see first, okay? Okay, you need to know that it contains hydrolytic enzymes because its function is to digest function is to it has digestive compartments because it contains the hydrolytic enzymes, because the function is to break down any waste products in the cell. So unwanted products in the cell, unwanted structures. Oops. Okay, well, while I'm figuring this out, I just want to share that, think about it. The cell has so many things. What if a structure is old or no longer needed, right? For example, there's one of the organelles is just not functioning anymore, and it just breaks down there. What happens? It doesn't just break down, but it's just there in the cell. What happens to it? So this is where the lysosome comes into the picture. It digests that unwanted structure so that it can be removed from the cell. Okay, so it breaks it down. And the reason it can do this is because the lysosome has hydrolytic enzymes. So for example, if there's unwanted proteins in the cell, unwanted organelles that were once fully functioning organelles, but now they're just old and are just not performing that function. So what happens to those? The lysosome will do that job and digest it and then get rid of it. Yeah. Okay, so you can think of the lysosome as the the rubbish collector of the cell. I realized I keep mentioning the word organelle, but you may have forgotten what it actually is. So I'm just going to put a note here for you to remember that organelles are subcellular structures, these smaller structures, the nucleus, the mitochondria, all these, the lysosome, these are organelles, structures inside the cell with its own functions. So it can have one function or it can have multiple functions. I just write that down here. And again, I encourage you to take notes as you watch this video because it will help you remember better. Okay, another organelle that is unique to the animal cell, an organelle that cannot be found in plant cell, is this one, this barrel-looking organelle. And this is what we call the centriole. So the centrioles are, as you can see, they're barrel-looking structures, barrel-shaped, and their function is, you wouldn't expect it. It is an organizer of the structures in the cell. So for example, so it makes, that's it. It's a barrel-shaped structure that actually helps in organizing the different compartments of the cell. Like, where does the nucleus need to go? Where does the rough endoplasmic reticulum need to go? Where does this thing need to be? That thing need to be? It's like, yeah, it's literally the organizer of the cell. Yeah. So it determines the location of the organelles. Organelles, double L. Okay. Yeah, that's centriole. So I'm highlighting these ones in blue instead of yellow because I want you to know that these structures are only unique to the animal cell. All the ones in the highlighted in yellow, underlined in yellow, are also found in plant cells. Right. Okay, let's zoom up. I think we should look at plant cell in the same video so that you can compare the two, see what's similar, what's different. So that's it for the animal cell. You saw all the different organelles, you understand what a cell is, and just like the names and the familiarity with the different terms here. Just gonna rewrite that so you can see. Okay, it's the plant cell now. Let's look at it. So again, I'm just, all the organelles we mentioned highlighted in yellow are present in plant cell. So let's just connect the dots there, and we don't need to go through it all over again. The nucleolus is there inside the nucleus, and the nucleus is the one that's surrounding the nucleolus right there. Yes. And then we have the, let's make space for it, the Golgi apparatus. Again, these membrane bound sacs. There is the cytoplasm, again, the gel like fluid inside the cell membrane. And since I mentioned the mitochondria, the slipper looking one, I'm sure you can see it in there. Let's go down. I realize this is getting messier, but at the same time, you'll feel so proud of yourself once you know all these structures. The cell membrane, again, the outer, not the outermost in plant, but it is that second layer there. Yes, second layer, second outer layer. And the vacuole. You can see the vacuole in plant cell is very large. So it's true that both plant and animal cell have vacuoles, but in plant cell, it's much bigger. It's very distinct. And in mature plant cell, the vacuole actually, it stores, let's write it down, it stores water and salt. Okay, in mature plants, the vacuole stores water and salts and other chemical. Okay, right. Did we miss anything? I don't think so. Yeah, so rough endoplasmic reticulum, smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Yep, all the organelles are there. Hence the reason it looks so messy. Okay, again, a reminder, this is the plant cell. Plant cell. Okay, so the plant cell has all the organelles highlighted in yellow. And now we will look at the features that are unique only to plant cells. So you don't find them in other cells, but just in plant cells. Okay, let me just, okay, that should be good. We'll see the bigger picture again later. Let's just move on to the plant cell now, focusing on, so we looked at all the ones that are present in both plant and animal cell, but plant cell has structures that are not present in the animal cell. An example, the obvious example is the chloroplast. Chloroplast, the green structure. This is what gives plants its green color. So chloroplast is the site for photosynthesis. And you keep hearing the word synthesis in bio a lot because synthesis is, it means to make something. So photo is light and synthesis is to make. So photosynthesis, it turns, inside the chloroplast is a structure called the chlorophyll. Let's write it down. So chloroplast is like the house of the chlorophyll. Inside the chloroplast is something called the chlorophyll, which turns light energy into chemical energy. So again, remember in animals, it was the mitochondria using the respiration process to release energy, right? Over here, the chlorophyll is turning light energy to chemical energy. That's how plants get their food. Cell wall is another unique structure to the plant cell. It is the outermost the outermost layer of the plant cell. It is rigid and yet the outer layer. Remember, animal cells started with cell membrane, but plant cell has another extra outer layer called cell wall. And the cell wall is rigid, and this is the reason when you try to fold a leaf, for example, it breaks because it feels more rigid. It's because of the cell wall, and the cell wall gives the structural support to the plants and the rigidity. Simple as that. So that was the plant cell. Chloroplast, again, remember chlorophyll and chloroplast are different. Chlorophyll is inside the chloroplast, and chlorophyll is what turns light energy to chemical energy. And that cell wall is the outermost layer of the plant cell. So zooming out, that's it for the video. Thank you for watching, and I hope it helps you understand plant cell and animal cell better. See you in the next video. Thank you.